Hello and welcome everyone. This is the 4th episode of Copy and Paste, the clean and family-friendly Reddit reading podcast. Thank you for joining me. Today we'll be going through r/Malicious Compliance, where you should always be careful what you ask of someone. Okay, let's get started. The first post is made by user EWcypchnskja. Yeah, it's confusing. I'll just put it in the description. A company's management doesn't like me because I'm not politically correct and am too accurate predicting problems. So they reassign me and give others credit for my work. I turn a do-nothing assignment with a government customer into a way of helping them unravel the company's inaccurate status reporting and find the company's actual performance. The company gets hit hard with financial penalties, managers leave, and I get hired by the customer, which results in even more bad news for my old management team. This story is a bit long. There are elements of revenge here, but since I don't have to do anything, I don't think it fits into any of the revenge subreddits. I worked for a major government contractor for a government agency. If I named the agency or location, it'd be pretty obvious to people with long memories and an axe to grind. I'd risen up through the ranks because I had good technical knowledge and have a knack for seeing a big picture view of big projects and seeing potential problems. I was very good at what I did. Many managers didn't like me because I pointed out problem areas. I had over 75% accuracy, and I stated facts without regard for management politics. I didn't suck up. Some management gave Fairhaired Boy, a suck-up, credit for my work, which I had done before Fairhaired Boy was even working on the project. Then they desperately needed my technical expertise on a very large procurement, 8 digits. I wrote most of the technical specifications, identifying risk areas and the consequences of bad procurement decisions. Fairhaired Boy dismissed my argument as no big deal, and we can work around that. So management ignored me, ended up buying inadequate equipment. I was reassigned again, and Fairhaired Boy was given what should have been my job, with a promotion and a big raise. My parting gift to the project managers was a detailed memo highlighting every technical problem that I foresaw in the development and how it could be avoided. It was a very long list of nearly 100 watch items, and they ended up hitting almost all of them. As usual, management ignored me. Due to company rules and a lot of prior excellent personal performance reviews, management couldn't fire me immediately, but I could tell I was being set up for termination. I was assigned a job to work directly with the customer as liaison, actually sitting on the customer side. Management figured I'd be an irritant and distract the customer from the company's issues. In the meantime, I'd keep our company informed about what the customer was saying behind closed doors, and I was supposed to tell the customer what was management wanted me to say was happening in the company. Management intended it to be a do-nothing job to keep me out of sight, out of mind. I don't do do-nothing jobs. I took it seriously, but after a couple of months, management told me in no uncertain terms that I was not permitted to answer the customer's questions about what was going on inside the company on the project, and that I was not permitted to talk at internal company meetings where the customer needs were being discussed. I was muzzled and set up for failure, or so they thought. Now comes the malicious compliance that ended up with revenge. When asked by the customer, instead of X or Y is happening, my responses were pretty much like, I am not permitted to tell you whether the project is significantly over budget, and management won't let me tell you whether or not the company is dropping design requirements for features A and B. I explicitly complied with management's directive of not answering the customer's questions, but I slipped in enough hints in my non-answers that the customer knew where to look and what questions to ask. The customer also kept meeting minutes, and often recordings, which always reflected that I did not answer questions about the subject under discussion, which was technically the truth. This was very critical later. Eventually, management couldn't hide that the project was way late and way over budget, which didn't surprise the customer, thanks to my hints. The customer ripped the company a new one in their periodic contract performance review. Note, on government contracts, it's very difficult to get a low performance score. Really difficult. The company got a very low performance score. It was ugly, and the company lost a lot of contract bonuses, which would have been a big part of profits and management bonuses. And Fairhead Boy was under such stress trying to solve the problems that I'd warned him about that he had a major heart attack and retired from medical disability at the age of 42. It was a very bad heart attack. Naturally, management wanted me to be the scapegoat so they'd get to fire me, but the customer liked how I worked, and they protected me with very careful language in the performance appraisals. Basically, that the task I was doing was the only task in the company that was performing effectively, and everything else stank to high heaven. Upper management didn't dare fire me, or they'd anger the customer even more than they already had, possibly to the point of having the contract taken away for non-performance. One particularly nasty manager who really hated me had to give me a significant pay raise and bonus because of my work. The fallout from the review was bad enough that corporate headquarters did some management shuffling, and a few of my antagonists was suddenly gone. The raise and promotion ended up not mattering because the customer hired me directly, working on the same project but on the government side. This caused management to crap their pants because I knew all their dirty secrets and tricks. But I never ratted on any of the managers or company dirty laundry. I didn't have to. My new co-workers had previously figured out where to focus their attention and what questions to ask to get past the company's bullcrap. I complied strictly with the terms of my separation from the company and gave away no secret after I left the company. One of the best parts was that in meetings, all I had to do was put on an evil grin and the company managers would practically crap themselves, wondering if I was going to unearth one of their skeletons. I never did. I just liked watching them squirm. They got paranoid about being caught trying to lie to the government that they were admitting bad news up front. Because of bad performance that management admitted, it got even worse for the company. They decided to try their legal hounds on me for violating company non-disclosure agreements, but the customer's meeting minutes proved that I hadn't. The contract was restructured to eliminate several blind spots the company had used to their advantage. The customer's oversight of the company rose significantly. Profit margins on the contract shrank. Several of management's favorite employees suddenly had resumes on the street because their protection was disappearing. Even more managers retired or found other jobs. It was glorious to watch. Doubtably so, because I let them do it to themselves. And I was extremely happy in my new job, where I still work. That was a really, really long story. But, in my opinion, it was worth it. Very interesting. Our second and final post is made by user /sjgsper. It's going to be in the description. I practiced law for a number of years at the same firm. The firm had this policy where all the attorneys, partners down to the junior associates, and they would have lunch together on Fridays, and then there would be a presentation of the cases that have been recently decided in the area of law that we practiced. Prior to my arrival, only the junior associates and not the partners gave this presentation, but that had changed so that both a partner and an associate would now give the presentation. There were enough attorneys in the firm that your turn would come up once a year, and it was a fair amount of work to put together the presentation for the Friday lunch. I got paired with a newly made partner for my very first presentation, who was very disgruntled about having to do the presentation as he was now a partner, and he thought he shouldn't have to do them anymore. He decided not to prepare any of the cases and told me that I was to do that, and he would not be there to answer any questions that came up. Being junior, I didn't say anything, but went ahead and prepared the cases and gave the presentation. After I had summarized the first case, one of the attorneys in the room asked a very detailed technical question about the case, to which I responded by turning to the partner and saying, "Gee, I don't know, perhaps the partner can answer that," which is what I did with all of the questions I was asked that day. Naturally, the partner had not read any of the cases, so we couldn't coherently answer any of the questions. He wasn't well liked by the other attorneys in the room, who quickly figured out that he had me do all the work for the presentation, while he did nothing. So they began asking more and more complex questions, to which I would turn to him for an answer. By the end of lunch, he was beet red. Going forward, he did his share of the presentations in the future. Oh my god. Just imagine that moment. You get embarrassed by everyone there. Okay, I guess now just do your half of the work. Well, that was it for today. Thanks for joining me. If you're listening to the audio version, go to YouTube to watch this podcast with subtitles. And if you're watching this on YouTube, go to anchor.fm/copy and paste to listen to the audio version of this podcast on your favorite listening platform. And feel free to send me an audio message. Just go to anchor.fm/copy and paste/message. It's been a pleasure. Goodbye.